does bleed a little Andy through it. And the fire department wanted me to put an exit sign in, so I did. Probably not the one they were looking for, but all right, we are live for the Grow Clinton podcast. Jenny, do you have anything else that you would like to address why we have Lieutenant Governor Chris Cournoyer with us?
I'm just excited to hear what you have to say.
Good. It's going to be a good time. All right, here we go. You're listening to the Grow Clinton podcast. Grow Clinton is a 501c6 nonprofit economic, community development, and tourism organization based in Clinton, Iowa. For more information, visit growclinton.com. Again, that's growclinton.com. Now, back to the show. What's happening, all of our millions of dedicated listeners out there? Welcome to the greatest podcast on the planet Earth. That's right, folks, the Grow Clinton podcast, brought to you by Grow Clinton. We are a small nonprofit located on the eastern side of the great state of Iowa, where we focus on economic development, community development, and tourism. I am the president and CEO of Grow Clinton, Andy Sokolovich, as always, joined by the one, the only, Jenny Home in our office. Jenny, what's happening?
I'm a little starstruck, and I know I shouldn't be because I know our guest.
You're starstruck.
I am a little bit. I don't know.
Well, you better get out of it because we have to interview.
I'm getting locked in right now.
Locked in. Get yourself together. Professionalism.
I got it.
Hey, you know what also I get starstruck about?
What?
Miles Communication and high-speed fiber internet. That's right, folks. The Grow Clinton podcast is sponsored by Miles Communication. Check them out for all of your high-speed internet needs. MilesTelephone.com. Again, MilesTelephone.com. They also offer television services and telephone services.
Right.
And yesterday we were kind of joking back and forth about having a landline.
Yes.
And you said you don't have one.
I don't, and you were shocked.
I was shocked. I would have bet dollars to donuts that you had a landline.
I'm old-timey. I told you that.
Yeah. All right.
No landline, but I can hear better on them.
But isn't it scary sometimes? Like our cell phones really are the only way to connect with us. If somebody doesn't answer their phone,
right.
I feel a little freaked out. I kind of want to have a landline and bring it back.
I got to tell you, back in the day, I'm older than both of you, but back in the day before caller ID and before you knew who was calling you, you're more apt to pick up your phone.
Yeah,
it's just ringing, you pick it up.
Now
so
you just ignore it 'cause it's just a sales call.
Right.
All right, MilesTelephone.com. That's our sponsor. Check them out for all your high-speed fiber internet needs. I'm really excited about today's guest. That's right.
There she
right
is.
Behind me. We are joined and very excited to be in the presence of Lieutenant Governor Chris Cournoyer of this great state of Iowa. Chris, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thanks for inviting me. It's an honor to be here.
This is awesome. So one of the things that we want to know, before being appointed to the lieutenant governor position, you sat in Senate District 35, representing 3 counties along eastern Iowa. Now you're in a position of lieutenant governor. What's the transition been like?
Well, it's interesting. First of all, I'm no longer representing 62,000 people. I'm representing all 3.1 million people in the state of Iowa, and being part of the executive branch obviously is different than being part of the legislative branch. So, I don't quite have the autonomy I had as a senator,
right.
But it's seeing the policy and the process from a completely different perspective, and it's exciting to be part of the governor's team. I mean, she has another bold agenda for this legislative session, and just watching those agenda items go through the legislative process from a different perspective has been really interesting, and it's really exciting. But I will tell you, 2 days are the same. I keep waiting. People ask me what a day in the life of the LG is, and so far I'm not sure I could describe it.
Well, that was my question was, okay, so you get into this role. Is it just get in there and hang on and just get into it, or are you pretty well? I mean, you can't train for that.
No, well, I mean, I think
in that position,
yeah, it's very different. So in Iowa code, really, the only responsibility of the lieutenant governor is to take over if the governor should become incapacitated or no longer able to serve. So luckily for me, the governor has other plans for me. And
yes.
She's put me in charge of the Empower Iowa task force, the Iowa STEM Council, the Governor's STEM Council, and then I'll also be overseeing the AI task force and representing the governor on various state boards, like the State Fair Board, and then I fill in for her as needed at various events.
One thing I remember about you that I was really impressed with, everything is impressive, but during COVID days when we had to have the legislative coffees and we had to do it online, I remember you were at either a basketball game or a wrestling meet, and you
participated.
Crushed it. Yeah,
I was sitting in a hallway outside a gym in Iowa City. That's exactly what I was doing.
I remember it.
Yeah, and last week I spent every morning at the state wrestling tournament because one of my twins qualified for the state tournament.
Yes.
So I can wear multiple hats.
Oh, it's a good thing. Yeah,
and I think being a wrestling mom is far more stressful than being lieutenant governor.
Oh,
if I'm being honest.
A mom.
No doubt. Yeah. So talk to me about Empower Rural Iowa. I know that's an initiative through the state of Iowa that you're very passionate about. Now, Clinton, the city of, kind of falls within this weird dynamic where we're too big to be small, too small to be big. Our population floats just right around 25,000, the entire county 50,000. This is a great program, and I'm very involved, especially in the communication from Empower Rural Iowa. Explain to our listeners what it is and why you're so excited about leading it.
Well, the Empower Rural Iowa was developed a few years ago, and it was led by the previous Lieutenant Governor, Adam Gregg, to really focus on 3 areas to help stand up and support rural Iowa. Those 3 initiatives originally had to do with housing, broadband, and then just leadership, helping build leaders in the community that could drive some of the strategic planning initiatives. So we had 3 separate task force. They dug in. They really achieved a lot. And, we had a task force meeting in Jewell, Iowa on Tuesday. And what was really exciting about that is that, we really consider ourselves like a think tank where we can test big ideas and then and pilot them in small communities around the state. And if they work, we can scale them to other communities. If they don't work, then, I guess we tried. But
yeah, back to the drawing
we've
board.
got some really, really talented economic development people on the task force, people that really specialize in childcare and leadership development. And there's a boost program. Well, they'll tend to send in a task force to really meet with local leaders, economic developers, city council, county supervisors, and really dig into what the issues are in the community, and then come up with a strategic plan and prioritize and help them come up with a plan to implement those big ideas.
It's very cool. I mean, I'm very involved in professional developers of Iowa, Iowa Chamber Alliance, and why I love networking with my peers, those that represent some of the larger metro areas, they've got things kind of on autopilot. I mean, they're doing some really cool stuff, but things are just coming their way. The communities continue to grow. It's the rural communities, when you meet with those economic development professionals, they're the ones really thinking outside the box, trying new things because they have to. They don't have the capacity of having ample amount of housing or a tremendous retail sector or, tons of cash coming through like what would be a large metro. So I'm so excited that you continue to support the rural communities here in Iowa, especially through Empower Rural Iowa.
It was so exciting when we found out you were, going to be lieutenant governor, because you know us. One thing about Chris Cournoyer, she shows up and she knows us and she knows her constituents. And so that's exciting from our end of things in rural communities. Like ours is such a dynamic because we have the rural, but we also have the industrial, and it's kind of a strange mix on the river. And you're from here, around this area, so you know that, and that's exciting for us.
Well, and it's important, too, to have that perspective of being a border community, because we border 6 different states, and each border community in Iowa faces various different challenges based on which state they're bordering. So just having a perspective there, I think, kind of helps, so we're not so centric there in Des Moines with what I call the Des Moines bubble.
Yeah. Quite the bubble.
Yes.
Quite the bubble.
Now talk to me about the Iowa STEM Council. This is something you were involved in as well when you sat in your seat as a senator representing District 35. A great initiative. Science, technology, engineering, and math makes up STEM. What is your involvement in that group?
Well, I'm a computer science. I have a degree in computer science, and so I've kind of been a computer nerd my whole life. And I got involved with the STEM Council back in 2014 when I joined the Southeast Iowa Board to help really build the STEM pipeline. The initiative, it's really just giving kids access to hands-on activities where they can experience science, technology, engineering, and math, get them excited about it, and hopefully they'll take more classes and consider careers in those fields where we have a gap in our pipeline as our baby boomers are retiring. But really excited that the governor, Kim Reynolds, as lieutenant governor, was a big champion of STEM across the state. And while we've done really, really good things in this space over the last 12 years, she's looking to me to look at the next 10 years.
Right.
What's working well, what do we need to improve on, where are the gaps, and really incorporating, what our businesses are looking for in terms of workforce needs and where we need to put our energy.
Where do you see the biggest evolution in STEM right now?
Well, I think, a lot of it is just giving kids that work-based learning opportunity
You're
while
right.
they're still in high school. Get out into the community, work with the businesses and local government, and get your hands on something and try it.
Right.
And, that's a great opportunity to decide, well, maybe this isn't what I thought it was, and I want to try something different, or maybe it's exactly what I want to do, and you're saving yourself a lot of time and
Money.
expense,
Yeah.
not going to post-secondary education or training on something that you end up not liking.
Yeah.
So that's big, and then just, where does artificial intelligence, AI, fit into the picture? It's here, people are using it, and we want to make sure that they're using it responsibly and ethically, and how we can leverage that technology to make our businesses and our government run more efficiently and effectively.
Well, I think one of the words you threw in there, ethically, is going to be a big focus point for the generation in the future of artificial intelligence, because I'm reading a book right now. I won't reveal the author or the name of the book because it's a little out there, but they're talking about ways that they can actually run like an MRI and look at or a CAT scan, look at somebody's synapses firing in their brain, and just based on the timeline and the structure and how those synapses are firing, can ultimately produce a picture that would represent that thought process. So what they're proposing is, in the next X number of years, there'll be no more secrets. You can pretty much hook somebody up to an artificial intelligence machine and be able to pull out whatever you would like. Now, it's crazy, but it is also scary, because I think about, I have a 3-year-old daughter, and I want to know what AI is going to look like when she's 18 and beyond, what that actually is going to do to impact her life and her well-being. And you can't really stiff arm it, because it's the future and it's going to happen. So,
And that's why these programs are great, because then you have the youth working toward it already. And that fear, the fear has to be lassoed, and we have to be able to, even if we can't throw a lasso around AI, we have to at least be able to have a working knowledge of it. I'm way past that. I'm trying.
What?
I'm trying.
she's the most tech-savvy person in this office, Jenny is.
No.
Well, do you know that I did my 8th grade science fair project on artificial intelligence?
No way.
Very
Yes.
cool.
And that was in 1984. And so this isn't really a new technology. It's
Yeah.
something that's been around for several
Right.
decades. And it's exciting that we're leveraging it. But, again, it needs to be done responsibly. And it's already being used in Iowa.
Yeah.
The Technology Association of Iowa last spring had an AI policy conference where they had CIOs from the financial sector, the healthcare sector, and the manufacturing sector here in Iowa, where they're already leveraging how they utilize AI to process data, make better decisions, and deliver better services and goods to their customers.
I know.
It's fantastic.
I love me some Chat GPT.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do it. I mean, I write my own stuff, but it's also cool to be able to put it through a filter and it pops out, and you're like, that sounds better.
Yeah.
I will go ahead and use that.
Well, I'm great.
As long
I'm-
as you source it, you're good.
Right. And I'm so happy that the youth gets out in front of this, because that's where it's at. I mean, that's where we're going to be able to learn how to use it the best way, the most ethically, and, have young people in education, in these STEM programs get in front of it, at least to, they'll know what to do. They'll be able to be trained in it.
And we want, again, if you want to do cool stuff in technology, you can do it right here in Iowa. You don't
Yeah.
have to move to a coast.
Right.
It's all right here, and you can stay close and do these innovative things. And we want Iowa to be considered a STEM technology state where you can
Yeah.
innovate and do cool things. So
Right.
We just, Jenny, remember that meeting we had with that young lady, and I can't remember her name. She was working for a firm that we partner with down in the Quad Cities on some engineering stuff. But long story short, she left college, went to Silicon Valley.
Yes.
And was just kind of building her resume there, and then came back to Iowa and just said, I can do the same thing here that I was doing there,
Exactly.
and live a comfortable life and save some money along the way, because the cost of living is just so beneficial to a young professional.
And that goes back to, our broadband conversation. You mentioned Miles Communications at
Yeah.
the beginning. If you have high-speed internet and you have access to quantum computing, you can innovate and do very cool things
Yeah.
in the technology space right here in Iowa.
It's true. My son.
How's that for a plug?
I love it.
Well, here's another one. My son and his wife totally went remote with their jobs, and they live in a different state, and they're looking right now at, we want to go home.
Oh, that's
You know, so
I love that.
and because they love it here, they love like you said, the cost of living, but that's not the only thing. It's a beautiful state and really nice people. And that's what they want to do. They want to raise their kids here.
Iowa nice.
Yes.
Yes.
Iowa nice.
Right.
IOWA, that's what I'm talking about.
Iowa all the way.
All right, let's move on to the governor's agenda and then working through the legislative process and then touch on the Iowa DOGE, or the Department of Government Efficiency.
Yeah, so the governor, in her State of the State address, mentioned several items that she really wants to focus on for herself. And she has dropped several bills that are going through the legislative process. They range from disaster relief. We've had some pretty exciting natural disasters here in Iowa with flooding and tornadoes. So disaster relief and recovery in terms of housing and recovery with the farming community. Some student-focused education, pre-K through 12. There's the cell phone bill. There's the math initiative to really focus and raise up our math curriculum. Civics requirements, where students would be required to pass the U.S. civics test.
That's a good one.
Wow.
Which, it's
Yes.
I took that class when I took a government class in college, and one of the questions were, what are the three colors on the U.S. flag? So, this isn't rocket science,
No.
but it is stuff that you should know. You should know that it's red, white, and blue. And then really standing up that pre-K. We've heard a lot about how important it is that kids be ready for kindergarten when they walk in the door. So we've done a lot of work in the childcare space. That's an important thing for our workforce, but we want to make sure that everything that we've done in the childcare space complements what we would like to do in the pre-K space. So making sure that they're complementing each other and not competing against each other. So we want to make sure kids get those resources and are ready to walk in the door in kindergarten so they can be successful once they get there. And then also building a strong competitive Iowa, which has to do with, of course, workforce, apprenticeships, work-based learning, healthcare credentialing, work requirements for Medicaid. So just making sure that everybody who is able to work is working. And then, working on that workforce attraction and retention piece that we talked about.
Right.
And then also standing up healthcare. We're doing a lot of work this year. The governor is pushing forward some more supports for maternal health, and then making sure, of course, on July 1st, we'll have our new 7 mental health regions to ensure that Iowans can get the healthcare, mental health, maternal health where they are. So no matter where you live, you'll get that quality healthcare. And then also we're looking at saving Iowans money. So running a more efficient, effective government for less, which is really what DOGE is all about. And then as well as we're looking at just having a solid foundation for Iowa families. So something that she has proposed is maternity and paternity leave for state and public workers who have babies or adopt children.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's kind of a bold direction where it's really family focused. We're a pro-life state, and we want to make sure that we're supporting pregnant women, and then we're supporting families. And I think that's a bold initiative, and hopefully, it's working through the legislative process right now. The funnel is coming up on Friday, so we're looking and hopefully expecting that the governor's priorities will make it through the funnel and continue through the process and get to her desk.
It's exciting to hear that they're proposing paternity leave. I know that's common in a lot of places now, but back a lot of times they didn't do that. And why? Why wouldn't they? The dads need that time off too. The moms need the help. I think that's a great thing, and it's also great that they're including adopted families in there too.
I think so too. You need time to bond with the child.
You do,
and it helps the workforce. It's a priority. It's what we've heard from the workforce on what they need, and I think it's a good thing for employers to be able to again attract and retain workforce because of that benefit.
It does. That's what does it. Family first, and then that's how you get people attracted to jobs. Value
absolutely.
their family.
Last night we held our 2nd annual Business and Education Symposium up at the beautiful Eagle Point Lodge here in Clinton, Iowa. It was a great turnout. We had over 90 people come in. We had Eastern Iowa Community College culinary program made the meal. It was delicious. And whoever made that blackberry pie or whatever it was crushed it. It was so good. But we had students there sharing their experience through K through 12, and then also their educators and how they were able to connect both the education side and the business side of the community defined apprenticeships and work-based learning opportunities. And that's one thing here in the Clinton community, as well as the state of Iowa, we're really trying to push, is to get those young men and women interested in career fields, get out there, experience what it's like working in that career field. And like you alluded to previously, Lieutenant Governor, if they don't like it, they're saving thousands
So
of
much
dollars
money.
in blown expenditures going to post-secondary to realize they don't like something.
Right.
And we actually had Community College Day on the Hill last Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we read a proclamation, and there were several students there from Eastern Iowa Community College, both from Clinton, Scott, and Muscatine, showcasing some of the things that they're learning and what community college has done for them. And community colleges have really been an important part of the puzzle here, where students can get all concurrent enrollment classes while they're still in high school, saving them money and allowing them to gain several credits before they even get out of high school. There's some high schools that allow you to get an associate's degree before you graduate. So it's really impressive. It's allowing a lot of students that would have never otherwise gone to college to get that 2-year degree. And there's 2+2 programs where you can start at the community college and then move on to get a 4-year degree with the Regent Universities, University of Northern Iowa, Iowa State, and Iowa. So I think those are good programs where everybody's working together. They're not competing against each other, but community colleges have really adapted to the needs of our work, our business community. And I think they've done a wonderful job adapting and delivering those services to students and getting them the skills that they need.
And like you mentioned earlier, it starts in preschool, in kindergarten. I mean, it's so important in education to make that all consistent. And, wherever you go, I moved around a lot when I was a little girl, and it showed up later, the things I missed when I was not, catching up with everything.
Right.
So that consistency really matters, and I'm really excited about that.
And a lot of things that we're working with the STEM Council as well, is just trying to once a student decides what direction they want to go, is really tailoring their education to fit that career path. So somebody who wants to go into a trade might wonder, why do I need to take algebra and geometry? Well, you need to do it because there's a lot of math in the trades,
Right.
And you have to take a test. And what we're hearing from some of these employers is that their kids that are these students and that want to go into the trades aren't doing well in the math program. So how do we tailor someone that wants to go into the trades? Let's tailor that algebra and geometry class specifically for
Right. That
a
makes
future
sense.
in the trades.
Right.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. My 3-year-old is going to be entering pre-K
Yeah.
at 3
Yep.
at Zion here in Clinton, and that scares me. I mean, I'm very proud of her, but I cannot believe we are already at this point. It feels like she was born yesterday.
It goes fast.
My twins are
Seniors.
graduating in May, so
You got seniors.
Oh,
don't
yeah, you
say
blink.
anything about me being an empty nester, because I don't think I can handle that right now.
Yeah,
Both of you.
You
move
blink and they
aside.
move on.
I'm a grandma.
So.
Oh my gosh.
So it goes
No,
by
I reflect.
so fast.
I just reflect back on what I had available to me in high school. I graduated in 2000, and I do not recall all of these opportunities being presented to me. And now we go and we speak within the school districts, and there is a plethora of different programs that you can put yourself in and take advantage of to determine what you want to do when you get out of school.
When I graduated in 1986, there were, what do? You go to college.
Yeah.
That's it. What do you do next? I don't know. Or I wanted to be a mom.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't know what was out there, and so it would have been really helpful to have all that information. then.
Career exploration is really an important part, and
Yes.
it's starting as young as elementary school, and I think that's really important.
Right.
I actually had four state qualifying wrestlers from Clinton High School up at the Capitol. They came up for the state
Good.
tournament
Nice.
last week, and then they came up to the Capitol, and we were talking about state government and some of the priorities that we're doing here in Iowa. And I was talking about we're really trying to make sure all young people have access to a free education, and you need to make sure that you take advantage of that free education and think about your future. We want you to be successful, and I let them know that the 150 legislators in the governor's office is very supportive and investing in education and helping you understand what you want to do and helping you be successful and make Iowa a great state to stay. We need to be competitive from a tax situation. We need affordable housing and childcare, and we want arts and culture and recreation and parks. I mentioned that I had talked to the IJAG class at Clinton High School, and one of the young men on the wrestling team was an IJAG
Yeah, it's
Oh,
good.
wow.
which was very exciting.
Yeah.
And, I said, you need to tell us what you need, what you want to see in Iowa to encourage you to stay in the state and, speak up and have a relationship. One of the advantages of having a part-time citizen legislature is that you do have access and you can advocate for things that are important to you. So we need to hear from you. And, I would encourage anybody that has a good idea on workforce retention and attraction, please let us know and we can work with you to implement it.
I always think the better the more you care about, the more the kids feel cared about as they're growing up and in school, the more likely they are to say, I want to raise my family there because I know the state will care about my kids and the educators will care about my kids and, they'll get the best treatment they can get.
Yeah, and I don't think, we've got almost a $10 billion budget, that's billion with a B, and over 50% of that $1 billion budget goes to education. So it's a priority in the state. And it's hard to tell a 16-year-old kid, how much we're investing in their education, but, we wouldn't do it if it wasn't important. And it really is a priority and it'll continue to be a priority.
Well, that's
because
great.
It needs to be. We all benefit from an educated population.
Absolutely.
I was the poster child for the target of a military recruiter. If they were looking for somebody just walking the halls, I had no idea what he wanted to do when he graduated, which I didn't. I was very confused at that point. Laser focused on me and got me into the Air Force for 12 years, but I don't regret any of my time served in the military. And I just know that without the assistance of some great educators in the K through 12 system, I wouldn't have been as successful as I am today.
And that's really the thing. I mean, everybody can point to that one teacher or multiple teachers that inspired them to do something that they never had on their radar.
Yeah, and it's usually somebody that connects with you, somebody that understands you. I mean, Gallup always says, the 4 things any follower needs, and you can throw this into followers, you can throw it into family, you can throw it into government, you can throw it into constituency, is trust, compassion, stability, and hope. That's the 4 things that everybody just requires as a human being. They want to know that they can trust you. They want to know that you're going to be compassionate. They want to know that their life is going to be stable, and they want to have hope for a greater future. And I am a firm believer of that. That's kind of how we run Grow Clinton, and I like to keep it that way. So do we have anything else to include in this pod before we close it out? Jenny, any last questions?
I just want to say thank you for coming today.
Yes, this
and
is
we're
awesome.
so excited for you. We're so excited for our state.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. It's a real honor. And this new role is really, it's interesting. It's going to be challenging, but, so far I just really love it.
Good.
And I'm excited about the great things that we're doing for the state of Iowa. And again, I would encourage citizens to, if you have a good idea, please communicate it either with your legislators or call the governor's office. We want to hear from you. And if you're ever up at the state capitol, knock on my door, room 109.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's
great.
nice.
And I'll just put in a plug. When I travel around doing economic development attraction projects, or I go to a conference, I take it for granted sometimes how accessible our state leaders are, whether you're a senator, a representative, lieutenant governor, or the governor for that matter. We are very lucky here in Iowa to have the ability to pretty much just pick up the phone, make a call, shoot off an email, or for some, just shoot off a text and get a response. You don't see that everywhere, especially in the economic development sphere. When I tell people from other states, mainly in the South, that I can just email or text the director of Iowa Economic Development Authority for feedback on a problem that I'm experiencing, they're blown away. Many of them have never met nor will ever meet the leadership within those organizations at the state level. So we're very lucky here in the state of Iowa.
Well, I think you also have a reputation as being a go-getter and someone with big, bold ideas. I mean, what you've done with Home Base Iowa is very well known across the state. You've done incredible with that. I hear compliments and you get shout-outs all the time on Home Base Iowa and what you're doing for military veterans.
Yeah, that's a program we're very passionate about.
And if I may do one more plug.
Absolutely.
We do have an Iowa Doge, although we were doing Doge in Iowa before Doge became a thing. In 2023, we passed the realignment bill where the governor went from 37 to 16 cabinet members, cut 1,200 unnecessary or redundant or duplicative regulations in the state, and merged departments, which really makes things much more streamlined. I mean, in the IT alone, every department had their own IT guy, and now that's all under one umbrella. They're going through all the procurement much more strategically. and they're all on the same software platforms. And in 2 years, that's already saved the state over $200 million.
Wow.
So now that we have our own state Doge, Iowa Doge, there's a X, or what used formerly known as Twitter, where you can go on and post ideas that you have for government efficiencies. There's also a task force that's being formed with business leaders, local government officials, economic developers, people from all over the state, where they're taking your ideas. And there's a website, Iowa Doge. I don't have the exact. It's on the Iowa.
Google it.
If you Google Iowa
Google
Doge,
it.
you'll find it. But there is a form where you can fill it out if you have any ideas on how we can make state government or local government, for that matter, run more efficiently and effectively. We are taking all ideas are being looked at, and we're going to have some recommendations, and I'm really excited to see what that turns up.
And this is for everyone. You know, before I worked here, I was an at-home mom, and I did it for 30 years. And anytime something like that would come out, I'd be like, they don't want to hear from me. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, we
they
really
want to hear
do.
from people, everyone.
People on the front line, some of our best ideas come from people that are on the front lines experiencing life every day. If you ever deal with a government entity and you say, why do they do it that way? That's so silly. Let Doge know.
There you go.
Let us know that you're doing something you could do something way more efficiently. My father was in industrial engineering, so he's always looking for ways things can be improved. But if you see something that can be done better or smarter or more efficiently, let us know. We want to hear from you, and hopefully we'll get a lot of great ideas that we can implement.
It's no different than a family, and you have to have a budget. And this is our family. We got to hear from everybody.
Yeah, and you know, and that optimization is going to lead to a more efficient government that costs less to implement, and that could lead to us being able to sustain more tax decreases, which everybody likes to hear about.
Yes,
that.
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, you definitely have your work cut out for you, but there's no doubt that you'll be able to divide and conquer among all of your previous experience. I think sitting as a senator in District 35 before being appointed to lieutenant governor was a huge opportunity for you to really understand what it's like, especially in Eastern Iowa, and we're very excited for you.
For sure. And I would say anybody that wants to get involved, there's local boards and commissions that you can get involved in. And, you know, if you have an idea or you want to be part of the solution, get involved and, you know, start with a board and commission, or start with, you know, a local government position, and, you know, or just show up. There's public hearings all the time where nobody comes. So show up and have your voice heard.
Part of the solution.
That's right. The one thing I hate, and I say this all the time in the office.
It's true.
If you come to me with a problem, you better have a recommendation for a solution.
Help.
Because if all you're doing is complaining, that solves nothing.
Yeah.
So if all you do is sit on your chair in your living room and get on Facebook and complain and complain, and you offer nothing in the form of a solution or any ideas, or you're not involved, period, then I say, shame on you. Get involved. There's plenty of committees that are out there.
Absolutely.
Right.
All right. We again are interviewing Lieutenant Governor Chris Cournoyer. Thank you so much for joining us. This replay will be available on all your social media platforms, as well as a audio only link, which is at growclinton.com. Again, growclinton.com. Safe travels to you in the coming weeks. And Jenny, what do you got going on the rest of the week?
It's Friday, dude.
Oh, it's Friday. That's right.
You want to see what I'm going to do?
Nothing.
No, Chris will not be doing this.
Sleeping?
Decompressing and staring.
Decompressing and staring. I thought you passed out there for a second.
Do you get any chance for that?
Yeah.
Now that wrestling season's
Oh
over.
my gosh,
Yeah.
that is stress.
Now the boys can eat.
It is.
Do they cut weight?
No, not really. They're
Good.
They're in 157, 165, so they have a little allowance there.
Yeah.
So we haven't had an issue, but we haven't had Thanksgiving in about 6 years.
Oh boy.
So
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering how this is going to impact my grocery bill.
Oh hey.
Yeah.
So
You know what? We have good old Clinton boy who's always showing up there, and that's Dan Knight.
oh yeah,
Yeah, and his son, I think, this year.
he did. He
Yeah.
was a state champion this
Right.
year. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Dan Knight, good guy.
Very cool. All right, folks. Well, this has been another episode of the greatest podcast on the planet Earth, the Grow Clinton Podcast, episode 86 already of this show. Look forward to some more episodes coming up here in the near future.
Yes.
We've got some on the calendar. We have
Joe Hoinkus is
Joe
coming up.
Hoinkus. I'm very excited about that. If you don't know Joe, he is the site manager out at Lyondell-Basell. Lyondell-Basell is doing something very cool for the month of March. They are celebrating women in professional positions, and they're partnering with a group called Pursuits to talk about resume writing and interviewing skills. And we'll be hosting their team here at the Grow Clinton office one day next month.
Yes.
To be able to do some really neat stuff. So we'll be talking to Joe Hoinkus about what he's got planned for the month of March out there at Lyondell-Basell.
All right. One more thing I want to say about that, though, is that Missy at Renaissance Boutique here, Resale Boutique, in Clinton is handling the donations for suits and interview appropriate clothing. So get a hold of Missy at Renaissance for that.
Yeah, lots of great things. What I love about this town is it's so collaborative. You know what I mean?
I love it.
Like everybody's willing to just extend their hand and offer support.
And work together.
And you don't have to beg for it.
You don't. You just have to ask, and
People are
jump
just
in.
nice.
I went and talked about this yesterday, about this pursuits thing and writing resumes and interviews, and somebody came up to me afterward and said, tell them I'd be willing to help with that.
Yeah. No,
That's what I do.
Very cool. Absolutely love it. All right, so stay tuned for more episodes coming up in the future. Again, thank you to our sponsor, Miles Communications, milestelephone.com. Again, milestelephone.com. Until next time, folks, stay classy, stay awesome. We'll talk to you soon. See ya. All right. Hold on, I got to play this. Thank you for listening to the Grow Clinton podcast. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on all your socials. Until next time, see ya. All right, that's the official end. Let me end the stream here.